My name's Jo Swinson. I'm the Liberal Democrat Member of Parliament for East and Bartonshire, and I'm also the chair of the All-Party Parliamentary Group on Wellbeing Economics. This group was set up in March 2009 by myself and the Labour peer Professor Lord Richard Layard, who is also a published author on the subject, including his book Happiness. And really it was to make sure that we could raise this issue up the political agenda, recognising that while GDP has risen significantly over recent decades, happiness levels have remained broadly static, and actually what most people want from life is to have enjoyable well-being for them and their family and their loved ones, rather than just purely thinking about the bottom line. While there's obviously a correlation between those two things, we in the group think that that focus has gone too far just on GDP and needs to be rebalanced with a broader set of indicators. And so those are some of the issues the group has been exploring in our meetings over the last couple of years. We've had a range of speakers come to give us their views, including UNICEF, Professor Richard Layard himself, Oliver Letwin, who of course is now a member of the Cabinet, and indeed also top US psychologist Professor Martin Seligman, and most recently the Cabinet Secretary Sir Gus O'Donnell, who focused on the impact of wellbeing statistics on policy making in Whitehall. And these meetings have really proved to be invaluable for MPs, peers and other interested people in the issue to come along, listen to what top experts and key people in the field are saying and ask them questions. There's been quite a lot of developments on this issue within the UK recently. 18 months after the all-party group was set up, the UK government announced that the Office for National Statistics would begin to collect measurements of well-being and indeed consult on how best to do that, because it's not particularly been done before, and so there are lots of differing views on how it should be done. But as a starting point, 200,000 people are being surveyed every quarter as an addition to surveys that the ONS were already carrying out, and they're being asked about their life satisfaction, how meaningful they think their life is, and how happy or anxious they were on the previous day. This will create a huge amount of data that can then be further mined and analysed. The ONS is also consulting on how to have wider measures of well-being included in regular monthly surveys, and for example it's suggested that it would be helpful to start measuring social trust and indeed the numbers of people who are volunteering, because it's known that both of those factors have a strong correlation with overall well-being. And these consultations are actually still ongoing, so it's possible for yourselves to have an input into what happens. Here's the website address if you're interested in having your say in the consultation that the ONS is doing. Measuring well-being is one of the key things that the group has been calling on the government to do, and so we're delighted that that's happening. And that will of course give us the information so that we can then go on to work out how government policies should be made differently to take account of wellbeing data. I think that's really a good example of how the all-party parliamentary group can help to drive this issue forward. It's helpful because it's cross-party, and so whatever government ends up being in power, hopefully the momentum will not be lost and this issue will remain important. We're lucky that in some of our previous members that we had in the last Parliament, such as Anne Milton and Ed Vasey and Chris Huhne, that they are now ministers within the government, so it can certainly be useful in helping to raise this issue and profile with people who may at some point in the future have real influence in these kind of decisions. And through the speaker meetings, it raises the issue to a wider audience, and so larger numbers of MPs and peers can become interested. We're also able to coordinate early day motions, asking questions in the House, and we have a website where people can keep up to date on all of our activities. So although it does take a bit of work to put it together, and there's a need to have a secretariat to assist with it, we're fortunate to have the New Economics Foundation helping to provide that secretariat with things like organising meetings and providing minutes and so on. I still think it's a really worthwhile thing to do to bring people together and make sure that this important issue is something that can be taken forward, not just at Westminster, but in all parts of the United Kingdom.